So I'm looking out at Museum Park, and right over there, on the other side of the harbor, is McCormick Place. So why can't you take a water taxi to McCormick Place? And they can drop you off in a water taxi from McCormick Place to Navy Pier. Truly. Or from McCormick Place over here to Adler Planetarium or the Shed Aquarium or the Field Museum. Now here's the harbor. And Airbnb, guess what? They can get into renting out boats. Yes, they're in the rental business. And they can rent out boats. Some boats people live on, like in Florida, the boat's in the harbor and they actually live on the boat. Other boats, they can just rent out as residents. Truly, in Florida and places where they stay in the water all year round, they are residents. They got restrooms and showers and kitchens and everything. And so the bigger boats are residents. So they can get into that, and they can just get into regular boat rental as well. So remember, they're in the rental business. And they have to figure out what rental businesses do they want to be in, because they want to be in the profitable rental businesses. So it's not like doing every business, but they want to be in the profitable rental business. And here's the planetarium. And the telescope looks out at night, so you wouldn't expect it would have lights. So being dark is good for telescopes. And then obviously there's something like a fire or whatever. I don't know what this is right here. Is this some type of planetary rings? Maybe a ring of Saturn or something? I don't know. But it's some type of sculpture or artwork. And then obviously the beautiful view here. It's incredible. And the reason I come down here is I used to run this with my ex Jennifer Kim all the time from her place, and we used to run along here, and it was beautiful. And we run up to Fullerton or to North Avenue and then run back to her house. So we didn't usually go further in North Avenue. We go Fullerton or North Avenue, meaning Fullerton is further in North Avenue. So we go all the way down to Fullerton and come back, or shorter, we just go to North Avenue. But you can see the Congress Hotel from here. And that red light is the Congress Hotel and Convention Center. It's a convention center, Congress Hotel and Convention Center. So it has a convention center. It's a hotel and convention center, the Congress Hotel, and it's on South Michigan Avenue. So it's been there for a long time, so it has lots of history. And I wonder how the rooms are in that. I've actually never been in it. But it's one of the oldest hotels in Chicago. Truly, it's been there. It's been around for a long, long time. So it's on Congress Avenue. So a crane's right here. So the Shed Aquarium. And there's a crane up here, right there. So they might be doing some expansion work on the Shed Aquarium. That's awesome. I'm a big supporter of the Shed Aquarium. We had an event here for the, either it was Castle or the Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Castle is the Chinese American Service League, and this is where Linda Yu I took a picture with. She was a Chinese anchor on ABC Channel 7 Chicago, and then who moved into her spot is Judy Sue. So it went from one Asian female to another, and so ABC Channel 7 Chicago has always had an Asian female as part of their news team. So since I've been a child. So they have a long history. Now CBS on its national news had Connie Chung as an Asian female. That was at CBS in their national news, but not another Asian female came on. So, and then NBC did have this other girl, Kim, I forget her name. but she's on my Facebook, or maybe she's not anymore. But she moved to Los Angeles, but she was with NBC in the mornings for a while, and then she moved out to Los Angeles. So basically, ABC has always had an Asian female since I've been alive. So they have a long-standing, relationship with the Asian community. In particular, it's always been a Chinese Asian female. So they have a long-standing with that. Then you have Nancy Liu, who's an Asian female with WGN. I don't see her that much in commentary or any of that anymore. And then they have Judy Wang, which is another Asian female. Both Nancy Liu and Judy Wang are both Chinese, and they're with WGN. And then you had Betty Liu, which was LIU, but Betty Liu was the morning for Bloomberg. And so Bloomberg had Betty Liu, an Asian female, who was their anchor for their morning show in America. And I used to watch her between Bloomberg and CNBC. And then she was with another Asian, and I think both of them were Chinese, and the other Asian was Dominic Chu, and Dominic went over to CNBC, so I don't really see Dominic anymore. He's on CNBC. And Betty Liu, I don't know where she is, but so these are all Chinese male and females. So again, and then Robbie Bajwal is a Asian, but he's a Western Asian. He's an Indian from India. He could have been born in the United States, I don't know, but his heritage is Indian, from India. And so that's another Asian with ABC, Channel 7 Chicago. So I'm down here along the lakefront, and now it was Lakeshore Drive. Now it's Jean DeSable, or whatever, DeSable Drive. So going back to some founder of Chicago. So I have no idea about this person. I've just heard about it when they were renaming it. I've never heard about them. And, we studied history, Lewis and Clark and everything else, but Ponce de Leon was a true person in Florida. Now, they said he was looking for the Fountain of Youth, but he was a true explorer. It wasn't fictional. But the Fountain of Youth story with him might be fictional. I don't know. But they were all looking for something, so I'm not saying it isn't true, because they came exploring the new lands looking for new wonders. So we get a beautiful view of, this is the facing north, and this is the north side of Grand Park. North side of Millennium Park, Grand Park, and Maggie Daley Park. You get the Prudential Building and the Blue Cross Blue Shield Building, and it's a really nice view of these buildings at the end of the park. It's different. If you've ever been around Central Park, you don't have the same type of buildings. Like Central Park, you would have this, like where the Motorola is, and it all goes along Central Park. But you don't have the side buildings, and Central Park does, I think, fairly close to the water. But again, this is a little different. So how Chicago's laid out around the park is different than it is in New York City's Central Park. And we have fresh water, they have salt water. But we have a large fresh water. So yeah, if you want to go far away, then yeah, it's better to be on the ocean, but most people aren't going that far. So living on Lake Michigan is awesome. You got more than enough water. You can go scuba diving, fishing, sailing, you name it. And you can visit a lot of other places more easily than actually boating on the ocean in New York. And so I'll go by Navy Pier, which is coming up here, which is something. They have Coney Island, but Coney Island, and I think that's the main one, Coney Island, and then they have the other pier, so they have a couple piers. But ours is, this is where I had my graduation celebration on this ship here. And so, again, I guess I got off a little bit early for Navy Pier, but they have this. I'll get back on. But the Chicago Yacht Club is around here as well. And somebody biking at night, you can see that light moving through, and it's nice. They have it on the front of the Diddy bikes. It makes it very easy to see them. It makes it safe for biking at night. But you know, the thing that really stinks about urban centers, why should you have to fear to go jogging at night? And if I had my ex, Jennifer Kim, with me, she could testify, we went jogging at night all the time. But the reason she was willing to is because she had me, and so she never feared. And so we go for jogs at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And we go in the wintertime, the spring, the fall, truly the summer. And she didn't fear because she was with me. And so we would be jogging late night. And it destroys the city. The being down here, you can't walk along the pier. We used to go out to the Lincoln Park Zoo late night and hold hands and walk. The zoo was closed, but we walk around the zoo. We have a picture of walking at night, and some people took a picture of me and Jen, but we walk along the lake at night. I love going. I walk along Grant Park at night, Michigan Avenue at night. When I go to New York City, I take incredible amounts of late night walks. A ton of late night walks in New York City. In Manhattan and that. I love going outside. I love going out for the nighttime walk because it's cooler and everything else. Yeah, the morning is beautiful, but the night has its ambiance. And right down the street here, we're on Lower Wacker Drive, but down here you can see Trump Tower, kind of. But again, the cities need to be safe, completely safe. And so people can go out and enjoy everything they have to offer. So you can go out for a late night walk and enjoy yourself and not have to fear about bad things happening. Not have to fear about getting hassled by a bum. You're going out, and I'm going out for a jog or a walk with Jen. We never got hassled by bums. Never even ran into them. Why should we be hassled by a bum or a beggar or anyone like that? I'm going out and trying to enjoy my life and the fruits of my labor, and then some bum comes up to me spoiling my day. Why should I do that? That's not my job. That's the city's job, the county's job, the state's job, the federal government's job. And how many different charitable organizations, Pacific Gardens, they should have a van going around. We had a van with pads, and we went around and picked up the bums off the street at night from where? Waukegan. Oh yeah, we picked up all the homeless people in Waukegan. We took all the homeless people off the street at night. And they came in, and we gave them toiletries, and we gave them the ability to use the toiletries, the bathroom, the clean, the change, and everything. And then in the morning, we gave them 2 sack lunches to go off for their day. And we dropped them off at locations in Waukegan so they could go out for work and everything else. And then we pick them up again at night, take them to the Pads place in Wakanda, and they got a movie, they got dinner, then we had a movie, then they had dessert, and then they got the cleanup before they went to bed. And we did this at Pads. And so we took all the homeless every night off the streets of Waukegan. There were no homeless. And it was them trying to get jobs and get stabilized and get back to a normal life, and trying to get them the help and the assistance they need so they can move back to a full life. And that's what I've been preaching with these organizations. But we didn't leave the homeless, so there were no homeless on the streets of Waukegan, because we gave them a place where they could come in and clean up and brush their teeth and take care of their hygiene and make sure they stayed healthy. And we gave them a good meal, a good dinner, and then a movie after dinner. And then we gave them desserts and, tea. We had tea, always hot tea, and everything available for them. And this is Navy Pier, where I used to work. I worked when the pier reopened in 95. It was an incredible success. And Microsoft launched Windows 95. Here, launch party in the Crystal Gardens on the second floor above Charlie's. Bill Gates is here. This is when I saw Bill Gates in person. And then I ran into Bill Gates in person again at Lowe's Ventana Canyon. First time I saw him in person was in 1995. He was here in Chicago for the launch of Windows. And I saw him walking down the steps from the Crystal Garden. It was a whole big launch party for Microsoft's Windows, and it was at the Crystal Garden. I was supposed to go to a wedding at the Crystal Garden with my ex, Jennifer Kim, but Andy wouldn't give me the day off to go to the wedding. And I missed out on another wedding working at Joey's. Because what did Andy do? He liked to stick it to me. So every time I asked for some time off, he said no. So I never could take time off working at Joey's on the weekend when they weren't busy. Somebody else, and he said, if you don't show up, you're fired. So he literally made my life miserable. Truly, I missed a couple weddings, and Jen cried. And I wanted to go. But these are people that make my life living hells. Like this city of Chicago has made my life a living hell. They, unlike us in Pads, in Waukegan, we had the bus. We removed every single homeless. You didn't find any homeless in Waukegan on the streets. The city of Chicago is a piece of garbage. Mayor Brandon Johnson is a piece of garbage. Garbage. So, and this goes a long time ago. This goes at the beginning of the 2000s. So there were no homeless walking around the streets at night in Waukegan. And they got to come in and have a good meal and clean up. And that way they didn't get diseases and pass diseases and spread diseases, right? Passing them. We could have teamed up with Night Ministry, but we didn't, and we should have. And we could have teamed up with the Salvation Army and gave them permanent housing, or Urban Ministry in Pacific Gardens, and gave them permanent housing. But again, the mayor of the city, I don't know. We've had these two mayors, one female, one male, and they've been both black. Before that, they were white, and they took over. And where's the improvement? Truly, where's the black excellence? Where's the improvement? I got beaten up and I don't know how many times threatened by black people over the last 9 years, unbelievably. Where's the improvement? They show me that they can't do the job, that they're incompetent. So that's all I see, and they can't control their own people. That makes them even more incompetent. Like I said, the mayor of London, he was Muslim. He should be talking to the Muslim communities in London, making sure there's no terrorist activity, going into the mosque and that, and talking to the heads of the mosque in London, and talking to the Muslim community, since he's a Muslim, peer to peer, making sure there's no terrorist activities anymore by Muslims in London. He was the mayor. They appointed a Muslim as the mayor of what? London. And he needed to do his job. And I mentioned this before. So where are they cracking down on the black community? Where is he getting rid of the gangs and cracking down and getting rid of the drug dealers and all the negativity and being like the Iron Fist, Brandon Johnson, in the black community, wiping out all evil so Chicago can be better? So Brandon Johnson should become like Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, and destroy evil. But I don't get this. We could do it in Waukegan, and they have more resources in Chicago. It's a joke. And they have more charitable organizations and everything. So why should I ever run into a homeless person? Ever again. I should not see him. I should look far and wide and never run into a homeless person. Ever! So I'm waiting to see the competency of these black leaders. Since they wanted, Thomas Sowell, the black economist, said they were garbage. Black leadership was garbage. A black economist put out a challenge to black leadership, from the NAACP to the Urban Institute to others. He called them garbage, sellouts, incompetent. He did. He called them every name in the book. He thought they destroyed the black race. So where are they showing that they're competent, that they qualify to be leaders of cities, counties, states? Like the one black guy who was the head of Cook County, Stroger Hospital or whatever, I forget, doing a lot of corruption. So where are they changing the narrative? Where are they showing that they're doing America right and the people of America right? So I wonder. But I'm here along the beautiful lakefront, and summer's coming, and off of Fullerton, it should say exit right here. It says St. Joseph's Hospital, but you can't really see that sign, blue, and it's nice, but it should be right under this where it says Fullerton St. Joseph Hospital, but also under Fullerton DePaul University. No signs for DePaul University, but you have a sign for the hospital, which is great. And it should lead you right to. Remember I told you I had the problem in California? I couldn't find the freaking hospital when Jen passed out. And she didn't want to go to the hospital. But I kept on demanding. But after 2 hours of telling me not to, and we did drive around, but I also ran into a lot of Hispanics. Yeah, lots of Hispanics. And I said, where's the hospital? Me no speak English. Where's the hospital? Me no, no, me no, me no, no. You live here, right? Yeah, I live here. Where's the hospital? Me no, no. Do you speak English? Me no speak English. And Jen doesn't speak Spanish. She speaks Korean. But she speaks fluent English. And so after 2 hours, and she kept on telling me she doesn't need to go, she passed outside of Wrigley, believe it or not. And I was scared. And I wanted her to get checked out. But I couldn't find the stupid hospital. And then after her demanding for 2 hours, I finally gave up and said, that's fine. We can't find it. Let's go to the hotel room. You seem to be okay. And you seem to be demanding that I don't take you to the hospital. Okay. But I was more worried about her than she was. So again, Belmont Harbor. And there's some boats. So they're starting to come in to fill up Belmont Harbor. So, again, do you see anything that says get off here for Cubs Park? Truly, anything. Belmont, you can get off and go to Wrigley Field. Addison and Belmont. Belmont here on Lakeshore Drive. Addison is on the Kennedy. There's not an Addison exit, I don't think, on Lakeshore Drive. So you get off on Belmont to Wrigley Field, but there's no sign saying get off on Belmont for Wrigley Field. And then where's Wrigley Field parking when you go down Belmont, right? Because Belmont is one side, Addison's the other side of Wrigley Field, but nothing. And then, do you see anything saying anything about harbor or harbor parking? Now, you have Recreational Drive, but what is this? The TP is over here, the totem pole where we used to meet to run, and also all the tennis courts. And you could play pickleball on the tennis courts. They can just make separate lineage. They have to figure it out. But they have to figure out how they can adapt the tennis courts for pickleball courts as well, so you can use them. And so, again, they got to figure out, because too many lines, but they can have them different colors. Like, yellow lines are the tennis lines, the white lines are the pickleball lines. So you ignore the white lines and you pay attention to the yellow lines. You get used to it. So you have two sets of lines. And so the tennis courts can be pickleball courts. So Chicago should be thinking about changing all the tennis courts into pickleball courts as well. And Irving Park, what's down here? Now, where's North Park College? It's on Foster Avenue. Let's see, I'm going to go up down Lakeshore Drive. And here's Chicagoland lifeguards. Yes, summer's coming, we need lifeguards. But they have nothing here saying what's coming up at any of these exits on Lakeshore Drive. Whether outbound, this is outbound Lakeshore Drive, north, or inbound Lakeshore Drive. They tell you the street, but they don't tell you what's interesting about getting off here. You know? Why would I want to get off here? Truly, give me a reason to not drive all the way home, per se. Like, here's Montrose Avenue. There is a field over here where the kids play soccer. But does it say soccer field or anything? It's a soccer and football field. Oh, yeah. The football field is used both for soccer and football. Some summer programs for kids. But how about summer programs for seniors? Truly, summer programs for seniors. Summer programs for retirees. Here's Wilson Avenue. And again, there's wonderful things over here, like the different beaches and that, but none of these say beach exit. Like Wilson Avenue Beach, exit here, and then guide you into the parking, right? Nothing. Lawrence Avenue, nothing. So how am I supposed to know? Truly, make it simple, stupid. Like for the bike path, you can park here and take your bike off the car and go biking. Or you can park here and put the canoe in the water and go canoeing. You can canoe in the lake, and you can do this just not on the river in Chicago, but on Lake Michigan. Magnum PI did it in the ocean. It's harder in the ocean because it's rougher. But you can kayak and canoe here on the lake. So I don't understand. It's not only on kayaking and canoeing on the river. Here's Foster Avenue. Foster Avenue, North Park. Or Foster Avenue, Swedish Covenant Hospital. And it used to be Jimmy's Pizza, but I'm going to get off at Foster Avenue. And I'll get back on because I want to see if there's signs for Loyola University. So I want to see if there's signs for Loyola University. So can I get on at Foster Avenue to Lakeshore Drive? So, no. But Swedish Covenant Hospital is north. North. And if you go down, I want to know if there's signs for Northwestern at the end of Lakeshore Drive and for Loyola University at the end of Lakeshore Drive. Telling you that if you keep on going down Sheridan Road, because Lakeshore Drive turns into Sheridan, that you run into what? You run into Loyola University first, then Northwestern. But there's nothing, no guidance. Why do I want to get off here? Now they call this Marine Drive. It's an inner drive, and they call it Marine Drive. It parallels Lakeshore Drive. But again, why am I coming down to these communities? How are they informing me of their value proposition? Because people just drive through. Because there's nothing here that I get for a value proposition. And Google, they should say in Google Maps, they can give you a verbal guided tour. As you go through places, they can tell you the little history through Google Maps. Guided tour, Google Maps. And so as you're driving through the country and that, truck drivers, as they're going, would they want a guided tour? And Google says, and educate them on America, the truck drivers, as they're going, or people taking road trips, or people on the bus. Even if you're on Greyhound, you can plug in the Google Maps, and it gives you a guided tour. As the Greyhound goes, it tells you about the communities and the history, and you're entering New Mexico and talks about the reservations and the history of New Mexico. And that's all part of Google. And so you just put it on in the car, and you put on Google Maps, and now people are riding the Greyhound. Or put on Google Maps on the plane. On the plane. Google Maps through their Wi-Fi, and it gives you a guided tour. Now flying over the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Now flying over Lake Mead. Now getting cut off by a car. It's supposed to stop because I was at the intersection first. But again, people don't care about right and wrong in Chicago. But again, planes. How about trains? As you're riding on the train, you just put on Google Maps. And now you're taking the RTA or CTA, and we're going through the little village on the RTA, and it's telling you the history of the little village. But these are things that they can integrate, and it doesn't stop the architectural tours and everything else. But some people just want to listen as they're going in for work and want to learn more about the city and more about the city roots. And it can have different modules. Truly. And you can listen to the city of Chicago in the 1900s, and you pick the range, 1900 through 1910, 1900 through 1950. And as you're going through, Google reads you the history of the areas from 1900 to 1950. And so you can choose the time periods. So you can go back to the 1800s in the area. And so it can do incredible things. And people will be on the maps riding their bicycle or their motorcycle, and they can hear things. But you want it to be low where they can hear a horn or anything. So you don't want it to impede their ability to hear horns or things. But they can hear as they're driving. It's a subtle background noise, and it's telling it as a guided tour. So, again, what is this area? What is the adventure that I'm going on? What are the people living around here? Truly, like the Puerto Rican area on Division. There's lots of Puerto Ricans that live around Humboldt Park. The history of the Puerto Ricans in the Humboldt Park area, and so on. My brother used to play semi-professional baseball at Humboldt Park, and he also did construction around. My friend Lisa, she lived in Humboldt Park. Yes, my friend Lisa, I needed to go back up to Lakeshore Drive. My friend Lisa, who is Asian, Korean, she used to live in Humboldt Park, and she can run. She's a great runner. So, and she's a school teacher, a music teacher. So I don't know where she is now, but a wonderful girl. Now, she smoked, but the thing she didn't do, what Susan did, who is Korean, is Susan did a lot of facial masks and that. But the thing is, Lisa didn't learn not to let the smoke blow back in your face. It needs to blow away from you. That's what Tracy did. She's a white girl. And so she didn't have acne problems. And then she washed her hands with good soap that removed the oils and all that from the cigarettes. And since the smoke didn't blow in her face, she never smelled like smoke. Ever smelled like smoke. So, and she brushed her teeth after she smoked. Each time she smoked, not mouthwash. She brushed, then mouthwashed. So I loved making out with her. Because she never smelled like smoke or hair in that, because it didn't blow in her face. So it didn't blow towards her. It blew away from her. And she would check the wind. So she knew which way to stand when she was having a cigarette. So she never smelled like smoke. Smoke didn't get on her clothes, in her hair, in her face. So she didn't have facial problems or anything else. And then she'd have to wash her hands. And she did. And she had to brush her teeth and gargle. And she did. And she never smelled like cigarettes. But did they teach her that? Marlboro? How to properly smoke and not smell like smoke. How to properly clean yourself up after you have a smoke. What is a good beverage to have after you smoke? Or is there an inhaler that I can do that helps clean my lungs after I smoke? Truly, after I smoke, is there an inhaler, like some essential oil or something that I can inhale after I smoke to help the metabolizing of the byproducts of the cigarettes in my lungs? Some form of inhaler. So I inhale it after I smoke. Is there something before I smoke I should inhale maybe? Is there food or beverage that's good for me after I smoke? Because you don't want the toxins, so drinking water or staying hydrated will prevent the negatives of smoking more. So does Philip Morris come out with those public service announcements? Do they come out with the education? If you're going to smoke cigars, you're going to smoke cigarettes, here are the best practices so you don't run into these negativities. So again, I'm looking for an entrance for Lakeshore Drive. So again, there's these things that they can teach you and educate you on how to utilize their stuff. Like with red meat. How much red meat should I have a week? How should I cook it? So how do I prevent the negatives? Does the American Beef Association say? Do they do public service announcements or say watch this video and get proper cooking techniques to minimize any negativity? How do I eat, lunch meat? Lunch meat tends to be high in sodium in that. How do I integrate that with a salad? Always have your sandwich with a salad. Truly. Educate them. Your chips, whatever. If you're eating chips, what to do with it. Don't drink a Coke with your chips. Drink a Gatorade. Something low in sugar. Drink a zero Gatorade with your chips so you don't compound the sugars. Best practices. So, again, these industries need to teach best practices. And that makes their industries go forward, and the negativity and the lawsuits and the protests against them to go away. And don't all those people want to work and feel good about themselves when they leave? There's Next Exit Hospital. What's the name of the hospital? But again, I'm just looking at the signage, and I'm on Lakeshore Drive, and somebody's tailgating me right now. And where's the cop coming over to take him away? Well, truly, they have no problem pulling me over, even for a little for a little lipo license plate light out. They pull me over in Deerfield. They pull me over on the highway. They have no problem pulling me over. Like here, cops pull me over there, cops pull me over here. These guys drive like maniacs, almost run into me, and then they get to drive off after they terrorize me. So why aren't they so scared? Should they be scared of tailgating? That hell is going to come for them on earth? Truly. We're going to bring hell on earth for you. We're going to make your life miserable. We're going to destroy you. That's the whole part of Satan. And God is good with destroying people. God kills them all the time. Sodom and Gomorrah sending angels to kill them, but look at all the times, the firstborn. I watched the 10 Commandments killing people. Plagues and all that, making their life a living hell on earth. So either quit the negatives or suffer greatly and die in misery. But that's what's supposed to happen. That's what God does. So you're supposed to bring hell to the earth to them. Scorched earth policy. So again, I'm coming here on Belmont. There's nothing about the harbor. Nothing about Belmont Harbor. Nothing about getting for Wrigley Field. Nothing. Nothing about this. And God forbid, Boys Town continues to exist. And I do mean God forbid. Or God damn means God condemn them. I've been against that forever. I avoided it forever. So, I am their mortal enemy, and always will be their mortal enemy. I will never, ever change that opinion. As I keep on publishing, and I will keep on publishing the evils of their way. So, again, I'm coming, here's the football field. That's also a soccer field. They got the net under the goal post, the field goal post, and it doubles as a soccer field. And it's right off of North Avenue. Now, is there any signage up here telling you how to get to that park? Now we have, let's see, lakefront traffic and that. You can tune to that radio station, which is nice, giving you a traffic report along Lakeshore Drive. We got another sign for a hospital coming up, but here's a harbor. Do you know in this harbor right here, they do canoeing? They do, rowboats, road teams here. In this harbor, they do road teams. So I've seen people drop the rowboat and do road teams. All the East Coast schools have road teams. My roommate, Michael Wynn, was on a road team at Syracuse University. Why doesn't they have road teams here? How about in the high school? And when I first met him, he was really buff because he was on the road team, and he was better because he was into extreme exercise. But we didn't have a road team at the University of Arizona. He was an athlete at Syracuse, and he came to Arizona, and he had too much idle time, and he became not such a good person that way because he could have stayed in the sport, but he never got involved in any intercollegiate sports. I got involved in rugby and played many others. So I'm by the Lincoln Park Zoo and the Nature Museum, and I'm heading down. Here's the Nature Museum. What does DePaul do? Does it have any programs on botany? Any programs on botany? Does it have any programs for zoo administration, for Nature Museum administration? DePaul University. Do they have any educational courses using the zoo, using the Nature Museum? Do they have any marine biologists? Marine is not only ocean, it is what? Freshwater lakes, like I said. Do they have any marine biology programs? There's unbelievable amount of freshwater lakes. Minnesota, 10,000 lakes. There's the Channel Lakes in Wisconsin, many lakes. And they need marine biologists to make sure the lakes stay healthy. So of all sizes. And marine biologists also work with rivers, like the Chicago River. But do they have any of those programs at DePaul University? Any zoo administration, any zoology programs, any veterinary programs? The University of Arizona has a huge medical school, and it's awesome, and also has a huge veterinary college Hughes Veterinary College. It's one of the top veterinary colleges. And it also has one of the most outstanding pharmaceutical colleges. It has a pharmaceutical college. Does DePaul or any of these schools have a pharmaceutical college? Or a veterinary college? Truly. Do they do any type of administration for different types of organizations, even going to college to run charities or government organizations?